Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
We're gonna lose games. The way we lose in the games is not right. We got to continue to play the game hard. Continue to go out there and battle day in and day out. And we'll be okay. We'll be okay. I guarantee you, we'll be okay. It's just a matter of us going out there and playing the right way.
A beautiful day in Chicago, Illinois, and hopefully better things ahead for the Cleveland Indians as tonight they look to get their first win in this series against the White Sox here at U.S. Cellular Field. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. If the Indians are to get that win, they'll need a good start from Josh Tomlin, who has only pitched one inning since being removed from the bullpen 2 weeks ago. What can we expect realistically from Tomlin tonight?
Well, I hope Josh comes back. He should be fresh. This is his first start since August 30th. And he comes out, he's pitched very well against the Central Division this year. You can see an 8-1. But he was one of the best pitchers early in the year. His last 6 starts, he's 0-5. But here's a guy, he's not going to walk anybody. He's going to make them hit their way. If he can keep the ballpark in the ball in the ballpark, they should be fine, but they're going to have to score. That's something they haven't done in this series. They've scored only 5 runs, 3 walks. They haven't been able to get their leadoff man on base, so you're going to have to put some runs up, and Josh Tomlin got a lot of run support early in the year when he was winning.
Yeah, 8 of their last 12 road games, the Indians are averaging less than 3 runs per ball game, and that includes that 12-run outburst they had down in Arlington against the Texas Rangers. We'll see if things get turned around tonight. We'll be back with tonight's first pitch shortly. Alan Jensen will take it away from the studio when we come back. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by WB Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by your local Toyota dealers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Tribe fans would love to see more of that tonight. The offense swinging the bats, driving some runs home as the Indians look for their first win in this 4-game series against Chicago. White Sox have taken the first 2. It has been said before that baseball is a team game played by 9 individuals. And one man who bears a lot of responsibility tonight is the guy who will start on the mound, Josh Tomlin, who hasn't started a game since August 30th. With more on that, let's go downstairs to Andre Knott.
Well, Matt, there's pressure on Josh Tomlin, and he knows it. He knows what's going on, and he says he wants it. But for the other 8 guys that are going to be on the field with him tonight, they want to help him through it. The one thing that Francisco Lindor and Jason Kipnis both told me tonight going into this game is all season long, this team has been about their pitching, about the starters, or about the guys in the relief corps. But they've been able to do their part to help them through their job. They're unhappy because they feel that the first 2 games of this series, they haven't done their part. They haven't had quality at-bats. They haven't made the plays that need to be made. So they said for Josh Tomlin, they don't want him to worry about what they have to do. They want to go out and do their job better and take the pressure off of him so he can go out there and just be Josh Tomlin and not worry about throwing a shutout. Maybe it takes till September, but this is one of those moments for the Indians where they want to show that they're a strong team that doesn't just rely on one guy or one person.
Yep, that agreed. Totally agreed right there. And earlier in the year, if you remember, Josh Tomlin got a lot of run support when he pitched. And, you know, you go out there and it's easy to say, just go relax and enjoy the game. That's what they have to do.
The White Sox take the field behind left-hander Carlos Rodon. And the starting lineup for Terry Francona and the Indians, presented by Progressive. Rajai Davis will lead it off. Jason Kipnis bats second. Francisco Lindor 6th in the American League in batting average, will hit 3rd. Mike Napoli bats cleanup. Carlos Santana is 5th. Jose Ramirez 3rd in the AL with 39 doubles. Then it's Brandon Guyer. Coco Crisp gets the start, batting 8th, and Chris Jimenez a start behind the plate, batting 9th.
And our Northern Ohio Hyundai starting pitcher, Carlos Rodon, has been outstanding. His record is 7-8 on the year, but he has won his last 5 starts out of 7, and his ERA is 1.85. He's only given up, let's see, a home run in 2 of his last 7 starts. So this guy has been on top of his game, and he's usually a second-half pitcher. He's 5-1 with a 2.52 in the second half. He was only 2-7 and had a 4.50 in the first half. But he's been the problem for the Indians in the past. He's 3-0 in his career, but 0-0 this year in 2 starts. But they've never scored him more than 2 runs. So we'll see if the Indians can hold him down until they can get some runs off Rodon. And the defense behind him will look like this. In the outfield is going to be the same as last night. Cabrera, Eaton, and Garcia. On the infield with Sanchez at 3rd, Anderson at short, Saladino is at 2nd, Frazier is at 1st, and Narvaez is doing the catching.
The crew chief, Dale Scott, has the plate. Bob Davidson is at 1st, Dan Isanya at 2nd, Lance Barrett is down at 3rd. Rodon averages 6 innings per start. And it's not that he averages it. You look through his numbers, and it's 6, 6,
Yeah.
6, 6,
Yes,
almost every single time out. And I suppose because of that, you know, they've done a nice job of not burning him out or putting too much of a burden on a young arm. He still comes in with only 142 innings pitched on the year. First pitch of the night in there for a strike to Rajai Davis.
He's only 23 years old. He has a fastball, very good slider, changeup.
Out of play, right side. Game time temperature tonight, 72 degrees under partly cloudy skies. And a sky-high pop. Foul territory, and Avisail Garcia will make the catch for out number 1. Arquilla in the driver's seat tonight. Carlos Rodon, Rick gave you the numbers, undefeated in his career against the Indians. He's given up just 1 home run, and that's another thing that he's done very well on the year. He's given up just 19 home runs in his 24 starts. And in this, the year of the return of the home run ball, that's very good.
Yeah, and pitching in this ballpark at home, it's very good. This is a hitter's paradise.
Jason Kitten is 2 for 8 in the series. Both his hits were doubles, and both came last night.
Both came on breaking balls too. Had one in the right center and then one right down the right field line. Put a good swing on both of them.
Crowded him. And the fastball misses. 1-1.
Yeah, if you're looking for his slider, that's a pitch you're going to have to take if you're a left-handed hitter. You can't swing at that pitch. If he has too much on it, he can get it by you.
Well, he's ahead of Kipnis now, 1-2. He went to the slider, but he bangs it on the ground. 2 down. That'll bring up Francisco Lindor. In the Indians' last 12 road games, in which they've had a tough time scoring, less than 3 runs a game, they've had 2 instances in those last 12 games where they've had 10 or more hits.
Well, we always say it's the game of first. They haven't been able to get their leadoff man aboard.
A lot of 2-out hits like this one right here. And Lindor plugs the gap for a double. But now they will have to come through with that sometimes elusive clutch 2-out RBI hit.
Well, I like the swing there, and that's what the righties are going to have to do, is think up middle of the field and away. And it was a good pitch for him to hit. It got a little too much of the plate, but you can see he drives it into right center field. So Lindor gets his 28th double with 2 outs. Then an opportunity is there for them to get on the board first.
Mike Napoli tied for 8th in the American League with 94 runs batted in. Late swing at a fastball.
Boy, he missed his target by a lot. They were sitting inside and they threw it away, and he wasn't close to it.
Yeah, 2 quick strikes.
That's where they wanted the first one. Inside. Take a look at it on our Nissan pitch tracker. It goes inside. It's a good pitch. It has the plate. Inside corner.
Chase the high fastball, strikes out, inning over. No runs ahead, a man left. The White Sox are coming to bed. Back here in Chicago, the Lovables dancing before the ball game. Nice when you own both the Bulls and the White Sox. You can do a little cross promotion.
Yeah, right.
Works out well for Jerry Reinsdorf and company. Speaking of the White Sox, their starting lineup for Robin Ventura brought to you by Spitzer Automotive. Adam Eaton will lead it off. Then it's Tim Anderson, followed by Melky Cabrera. Jose Abreu in the cleanup spot. Omar Narvaez will bat fifth. Todd Frazier, sixth in the American League in home runs, batting sixth. Then it's Aviseo Garcia, Carlos Sanchez, and Tyler Saladino.
Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher Josh Tomlin making his first start since the 30th of August.
First ball swinging, a fly ball to left center. Rajay calls for it, and the center fielder has it one away.
And, you know, that's what a lot of teams do, try and get after Josh Tomlin early because he throws a lot of strikes. You can see he's still 11-8 on the year, only 20 walks. His problem has been giving up the home run ball where he's given up 35. The problem recently has been he's usually giving them up when there's some guys on base. Earlier in the year, it was a lot of solo home runs.
Tim Anderson, the shortstop, 4 for 7 in the series. Cutter away, and that's ball one, and that's an important pitch to watch for Tomlin tonight. Terry Francona and Mickey Callaway felt Josh just got too reliant on that cutter and needs to pitch more with his fastball. And they say Anderson went around, so that's 1-1.
I'll go back to May 24th as we look at this called swing from the first base umpire, and there you go. In his start back on the 24th, matched up against Chris Sale, he went 8 innings, gave up just 5 hits and 2 runs. He won that ball game here. And we gave you the numbers on the top. 8-1 against the Central Division this year. He's pitched very well.
The breaking ball is fouled off almost inadvertently by Anderson.
And I think that's going to be a big pitch for him tonight, that curveball. I know he likes to throw that cutter and he gets a lot of outs with it, but that curveball is going to play a big role too. Get guys to swing at it in the dirt.
This down and away, 2-2. Tops it to third base, and Jose Ramirez takes care of that. 2 down.
Let's check out the Tribe defense, which is brought to you by Jeep. In the outfield, it's going to be Crisp in left. Davis is in center. Geyer in right. Ramirez at third. Lindor at short. Kipnis is at second. Napoli at first. Jimenez gets the start tonight behind the dish.
Melky Cabrera. Curveball, and it's in there for a strike. Melky just 1 hit in the series, but offensively you can see there he's put up solid numbers. Tied for 6th in the league with 35 doubles. 1-1. "13 career home runs against the Indians for Abreu, and that's fouled out of play.
The Chicago team starting to score runs. That's been a problem for them earlier in the year. I don't know if it's because they're out of the division race or whatever, but they have started to relax a little bit and swing it pretty well as a team.
2-out single will keep the inning alive. Keys to the game are brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Respond.
Well, yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to go out, play a good baseball game, score some runs, and win it. And the Sox have been very aggressive at home plate. Yes, they have. They've been getting after. That's what got Bauer early last night. Well, in the 6th inning, after the leadoff walk, they jumped on a lot of early pitches. There were 3 base hits on the first pitch in that inning.
Jose Abreu looks at a ball down low. Abreu 4 for 8 in the series with a couple of doubles.
Well, this guy has turned his season around. He's been picking it up for about the last 40 games or so. He has 10 multi-hit games over his last 15. And in his last 39, his batting average went from 269 to 299, right around that 300 mark. And he's the big man that you have to get rolling in the lineup.
There's a nice cutter on the outside corner. That one was tight and just enough movement to take Abreu off the baseball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at first, 2 down. We're in the bottom of the first. No score in Chicago, just underway. I like that pitch. It's in, it's off the plate, but at least it gives him something to think about. So often with Tomlin, it seems like it's cutters away, 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 and sometimes hitters just, they start leaning out looking for it, I suppose.
That's where you have to use that fastball on the inside part of the plate and keep hitters honest. And you also, I mean, I can see you coming in off the plate, but you're also going to have to prove to them that you can get in there for a strike every now and then too.
And that's where you need a guy with the guts of a Josh Tomlin, because when you're not throwing 90, when you're below 90 with that fastball and you throw it inside, you can get hurt with the long ball.
Well, they doubled up and he just made a mistake and left it over the plate, but no harm.
No runs ahead, a man left. We played an inning, no score in Chi-Town.
With the MLB.com at-bat app, you can stay connected all season with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet.
Carlos Santana will lead off this second inning for Cleveland. Santana 2 for 7 in the first 2 games with a double. And he swings at the first pitch but yanks it foul. Well, he had the distance and he clobbered it, but just a long strike. And a chopper to short. Easy play for Anderson. 1 down.
That was his changeup getting Santana out in front, beat it into the ground.
There is Jose Ramirez. player is 8th in the American League in batting average. He is also 8th in stolen bases. He is 7th in runners in scoring position batting average wise, and he's 3rd in doubles. And he's riding a 10-game hitting streak coming into tonight.
Yeah, got that hit in his last at bat.
Right at the bottom of the zone. That's his 3rd hit streak of 10 or more games this year.
Well, it doesn't surprise me how he puts the ball in play and how consistent he has been, that he can do that. Tough guy to strike out. He puts it in play. Hits it to all fields. There's no one way to play him.
Let's see how Rodon pitches him here on the 3-2. Went at him with a fastball, and he fouls it away.
You know, these White Sox, they got some left-handed pitching. Very good. When you got Sale, you have Quintana, who pitched last night. He's very good. This guy has great stuff.
And he beats it into the ground. 2 away. Well, Carlos Rodon is another first-round pick. He was the 3rd overall selection, and that was only 2 years ago.
Right.
So young, still on the rise. Best baseball you figure still ahead of him, which is why, going back to the conversation we've had already, if you're the White Sox and you're trying to figure out where you go after this year, and expectations weren't met, but you know, if you've got Sale and Quintana and Rodon, that's pretty good to build around rather than trade and try to rebuild.
I totally agree. That's the toughest thing to get. And this kid, he's going to be under your control for a while. You know, they had their issues, some scoring and out of the bullpen.
Brandon Guyer homered for the Indians last night. Then he was hit by a pitch. He got drilled on the left knee. And that was a little bit sore, so Terry Francona replaced him late in the game, get him a couple innings off his feet so he could get treatment on it. Right back in there tonight.
And then he hits a ball off his leg.
Of course he does.
Isn't that the case?
Great clip of the game from last night. The home run by Guyer.
Breaking ball.
And it was a tie game for a while until we got to the 6th inning. Both pitchers were in command. It was a fun game, and then all of a sudden, the White Sox just singled them to death.
Like I said last night, he had his best stuff of the year last night, and
he
then
confirmed
in the 6th
that after
inning,
the game.
And in the 6th inning, he ran out.
Big curveball strikes him out. Indians go 1-2-3. We're scoreless, middle of the 7th. Bottom of the second inning, no score. Josh Tomlin will face Omar Narvaez to lead it off. And a big curveball for strike one. And then he throws the fastball by him. And again, there's a perfect example right there of why radar guns aren't the end-all be-all. You slow him down with that big hook, and then the fastball doesn't have to be 95.
No.
You can still throw it by hitters.
Sure, it's all deception.
Lifted foul out of play.
And located. You know, you get a guy. The key to pitching is just keeping hitters off balance, off stride, where you're taking the big part of the bat off the baseball.
The 0-2. And, you know, going back to last inning, every once in a while you hope you can get away with a mistake. He made one to Abreu, but he hit it right at Coco Crisp instead of lifting it and hitting it out of here.
Well, there you go. That's what you want. Swings, they pop them up.
Center fielder Rajay Davis has it, one away. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Josh Donaldson. Well, you wonder, you know, if he's going to be able to get back and help Toronto. He's missed the last 3 games. Going into that stretch, he was 0 for 23. He's bothered by a right hip. He's had a thumb issue.
Yeah, Toronto lost again today, 8-1 to Tampa. So they're reeling right now. They're having a tough month of September.
Todd Frazier. And a fastball strike over the outside corner. Frazier came to Chicago, and boy, he had a breakout year offensively. I mean, everybody knew he had great power, but put a guy like that in a good hitter's park, and he has responded.
And he left a pretty good hitter's park too from Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not like
you're going from good hitter's park to good hitter's park.
Yeah.
Average-wise, it's been a little bit different for him, and I'm sure getting used to the American League pitching is a different scenario too. It takes you a while.
National League has some very good pitchers, but I wonder, top to bottom, I would think the American League's better overall pitching-wise.
Well, you have the DH you have to pitch through here in this league. It's not like you have that pitcher every time you go out. There's great pitchers in both leagues, no doubt, but you've got to cover that DH. There's
I guess I just look at it like just in the Central Division, and probably because we're so close to it, because we see it all the time. There are a lot of good arms. I don't know that Todd Frazier saw that many in the NL Central. I mean, not that they don't have good pitching there, but 0-1. Avisail Garcia has had a very good series. Broke his bat. Kipnis is there. Has to throw in a hurry. And he's safe.
Well, you don't realize this is a big guy and he can get down the line quickly. So you're going to have to speed it up there. Kipnis had time. He just didn't get enough on the throw.
Well, it took forever to get there, too.
Well, he's sitting there and then just gathers it up and just really didn't get much on it.
Terry Francona's going to challenge the play. They think they got him.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at it. It's tough to tell. Slow-mo.
He's out.
It looks like it from there. He's not on the bag yet, so that looked like it. So let's, they're going to challenge.
The side look would be the best to tell, and I think they got him.
Well, he gets down the line, and he can fool you a little bit. There's the side look. Now.
Yeah, he's out.
I'm not going to say anything the way these guys, you never know.
Well, they don't overturn this one. Just scrap the system. I mean, his foot's clearly in the air. It's not on the bag when the ball goes into the mitt of Napoli. I mean, it's one of those ones that without replay, you couldn't tell. I mean, that was a bang play.
Well, there you go. It's quick enough. He's out.
Getting over.
Good challenge.
So Barney and the Indians challenge the play. Kipnis gets the assist. And the White Sox go 1-2-3. For the Indians here in the third, let's go down to Andre for some thoughts on Coco back in the lineup.
Coco is excited to be in the lineup. He hasn't played as much as he wants to, but he says he's going to stay. He stays with his routine. He's not forcing anything, but he's going to be ready when he's called upon to play. As you see right there.
He is ever ready, and it goes into the crowd for a double, but hey, he'll take that.
Well, the one thing he talked about, Matt, was that he says he's played long enough. He doesn't get caught up in videos. He says he's just going to continue going through his workouts. He doesn't lift weights, but he says, I'm going to be ready, and I just try to show these guys as a veteran, you don't have to say anything. Just physically be ready day in and day out.
No doubt. Just be yourself. You know what you can do, and first pitch.
Well, now we're getting a conversation.
Okay, they're thinking it was a foul ball. They want to. Well, they can't. That's in front of the umpire. That's unchallengeable.
That's what I'm not sure why Dale Scott would go down and talk to him, because whose call is it? It's a third base umpire's call.
Yes, it is. And maybe he's asking for help from Scott, or Scott's. Or that's what Robin Ventura asked for. Fair ball. Now he's going to go back and talk to Robin and say, no, it was fair. Yeah, that's a play that cannot be challenged.
It doesn't have to land in fair territory beyond the bag. It's just got to go over the bag in fair territory before it lands. So I'm assuming that's.
Well, you can't see
saw
from where he was standing, so maybe his catcher told him he thought it was foul, because Robin couldn't have seen it from his dugout.
Boy, it's a very calm discussion here. It's not. There's no arguing.
I mean,
hits the ground. So the third base umpire saying crosses the bag in fair territory. That's why he calls it.
He was right there, so he saw it. He was in pretty good position, I would have to think.
Now Chris Jimenez, will he be bunting here early in the game? We want to get that first run on the board. He squares, he bunts right back to the screen.
Indians have had a tough time just moving runners with bunts. And Coco's base hit there stops a string of 18 consecutive innings without their leadoff man getting on. So they better take advantage of it here against a guy like Rodon, the way he's pitching.
Pulls it back, missed inside, 1-1.
Frazier really aggressive coming in from the first base side. Now he's a third baseman, but he played first last night. Playing again tonight. Don't know how much he's played there this year, but
in tight. When you haven't played in almost a week, is it any easier? Or, I mean, I should say, is it any more difficult to get a bunt down in a situation like this if you're a Chris Jimenez?
no, not really. It's the same thing. Just make sure you bunt a strike. The key, you don't have to do it on every pitch. You've got a guy with good speed, so you don't have to put a perfect bunt down.
He's not bunting, and he swings through it. 2-2.
This is actually the 6th game that Frazier has played at first base. So he backs up, and now he's going to have to try and hit it that way. When you get to 2 strikes, you just try to put it in play.
And now a full count. And you can see Rodon is trying to keep Jimenez from hitting it the other way.
Exactly.
Pounding him inside.
It's not going to give him just something away where he can slap it that way. He's going to make him work his hands if he's going to do anything. But now he's got to throw him a strike because he does not want to walk him. Well, there you go. You fouled off a tough pitch. That was borderline. Look it out on our Indiana Wesleyan University pitch tracker. It's going to be away. It was off the plate, but you know that's the case in this situation. You have to swing at borderline pitches. You can't get rung up.
No.
So he fouled off a ball, but it's you have to do that. If you're in a situation, you want to put it in play. There you go. Well, work the walk. That's something that Rodon will be upset with himself with.
Had him down. Adam
Yes,
buried, really.
Yes, he did.
Well, so let's ask the question again. Now you've got your leadoff man. Good speed, good bunter, Rajai Davis.
The way the Indians are playing and scoring, I would do it early in the game. Yes, I understand. Now Rajai has good numbers against Rodon.
I guess I look at it like this. You've got to try and get something out of this. You know, if he pops up and you don't score here, boy, I think the tension just continues to mount.
I agree. The way they've been scoring on the road, you play for 1 run. You got to play for 1 run. I don't care what inning it is. It's early in the game. This guy's been pitching well.
Sometimes you play for 1 and you get a big inning.
Yes, you do. But you have to get 1.
Rajai not bunting and fouls it back over the screen.
And the thinking here maybe is he's 5 for 10 off Rodon in his career. But I'm thinking the Indians got to try and take a lead. They have been not scoring. They haven't been getting their leadoff man aboard. You do whatever you can to get a run home.
Frazier creeping in at first, and Rajai takes down low. Sanchez playing back at third. He's hoping that Rajai bunts it right back to the mound and he can take and throw at third, which is why Davis wants to bunt it to third if.
Yeah, he doesn't even look like he wants to bunt.
Now Frazier backs up even with the bag at first. Rajai pops it to shallow right field. Long run in for Garcia.
It's
Makes
not
the
going to
catch.
get it done.
And the runners have to hold. Jason Kipnis will be the batter. Kipnis, 2 hits last night, both of them doubles, as I mentioned before. And you look at Kipnis up and in. Well, that's a tough spot for any left-handed hitter. Down and in, there's a cold spot. But where is that down and in? Are we talking knees below?
Well, anything, I don't know if that's in the strike zone, if they can consistently put it there. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking it may be when you get that right hitter that can throw that ball down and in and you get him to swing it off the plate. I'll buy that, but I think he's a good down and in hitter if the ball's on the plate.
Off the dish, away, ball 1.
You know, Rodon also the .223 average against left-handers this year. That may come into play why Davis didn't bunt. But still, I would have rather seen at least an attempt to get him over.
Coco Crisp at second base. He led off the inning with a double. Jimenez walked. Davis fly to shallow right. Now it's Kipnis, and the 1-0 is out of play.
You watch the doubles. One's going to be away. The first one he hits to right center field off Quintana. Okay, and he hustled his way there. The next one's going to be in, and he pulled it. So he did a good job on both breaking balls, staying back. And that was that spot where they say hit 200. Yeah, but I mean, he stayed on it.
And a jam shot right at the second baseman, and the double play ends the inning. Leadoff double, they can't convert. No score, middle of the 3rd. Cold one to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Josh Tomlin goes back to work here. Bottom of the 3rd, and Carlos Sanchez, Tyler Saladino, Adam Eaton to bat for the White Sox. And Tomlin gets ahead with a strike. Sanchez, in his last 4 games, has scored 4 runs and has 7 hits, 5 driven in.
Well, he had the big 2-run, 2 RBI triple last night to cap off that 7-run inning.
Overall, just 1 for 8 against Indians pitching this year. Another curveball.
Sting out of his bat.
Tell you what, you said it early in the telecast. The curveball would be an important pitch for Tomlin tonight.
It is.
So far, it has been.
You know what? I haven't seen a lot of changeups from him yet, and Josh throws that changeup, but that's your off-speed pitch. That's the slowest pitch he throws. You know, so if you can take him off that one and add that cutter and then move your fastball around, that is what takes him off of it. And then maybe that second time they'll start looking for that pitch, and then you can get one by him. So that it is effective, and if he has it early, he's usually pretty good.
Tyler Saladino takes a fastball for a strike. And the key is, I think, for him to be able to mix it up so they can't go up there sitting on it first pitch.
Right.
Because then if you spin one up there and they're looking for it.
Well, he comes right back with a fastball first pitch here.
That's what made me think of it. Because last night, we saw a lot of first pitch fastball strikes.
From Bauer?
No,
Quintana.
From Quintana. And it was just, the Indians never really.
But that was their game plan from what Andre told us last night. They were going to get after that fastball early because he throws it a lot. But they seem to take a lot.
Yeah, it didn't
but, you know,
work
we
out.
don't know from up here. I mean, they may feel it's in good locations where they don't want to swing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's tough to tell from up here and what you're looking at on TV. When you get in that batter's box, if their game plan is to look for that heater, then he must be locating it much better.
I'm sure they weren't taking him right down the middle.
No. He doesn't throw many down the middle.
The 0-2 in the dirt. Good.
That was his chase pitch. That's what he was trying to do. Just see how aggressive he was going to be. And, you know, Saladino's been playing much better. He has his average up to 280 from where it started this year because he's been getting a chance to play a lot more. Right off his glove.
Lindor with a bare hand attempt, couldn't come up with it. And it'll be an infield single for Saladino.
I think that was one of those plays where the ball wasn't hit as hard as you think it is when you're out there pitching and you see it coming back at you and it goes off the glove. Let's see. It was right there, but in an awkward spot where he had to reach back.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if he could really see the ball that well. The glove was in front of his face and Lindor a little upset, but I don't think he would have been able to throw him out, to be honest with you. So it'll go as an infield single.
You know, you always talk as an outfielder when the ball's over your head and you've got to put your glove over your head, how hard a catch that is.
Yeah.
Same thing for a pitcher. Well, he's got to reach back across his face. It's almost like he's kind of blocking his own eye.
It looked like it. I mean, it might have been a catchable ball, but it's not as easy as it looked.
Adam Eaton taking a strike. Eaton fly to center. Back in the first inning.
This guy's 5 straight multi-hit games. I'll tell you what, he's a good leadoff hitter. He's pesky up in the. We've seen him hit 2 against us as well this year, but in that leadoff spot, he creates a little havoc. He can do a little bit of everything.
Well, you know, he's kind of quietly had a very good offensive year.
He's been outstanding.
Tied with Francisco Lindor for the 4th most multi-hit games in the American League.
Yes. He has 8 triples, 26 doubles, 13 homers, 12 stolen bases. Oh, and by the way, he leads the league in outfield assists with 18.
Yeah, and as you said, he's been playing a lot more right field.
Yeah, he was playing more when they had Jackson here, but he got hurt, and now he's back playing a little bit of center field. They had J.B. Shuck playing for a while there, but he's not an everyday player.
0-1, look out in the gap. And that's going to be trouble. Saladino will score all the way from first. Adam Eaton, who leads the league in triples, has another. 1-0 Chicago on the 9th triple of the year for Eaton.
Well, let's take a look. It's a fastball away that he's able to pull, and he pulls it into the right field gap. And he doesn't stop running. He knows if it finds the gap, I'm going to third base. But He will give the Sox a 1-0 lead with his 55th RBI, his 9th triple. And that's why you go to third base, 1 out. Now the infield coming in for the Indians.
Tim Anderson, the batter. A foul back. This early in the game, does this tell you what Terry Francona thinks about the way his team's playing right now?
Absolutely. When you're bringing the us in the second inning or fourth, bottom of the third, you're bringing that infield in to cut a run off. Yeah, your offense hasn't been that good, so you're going to try and save every run you can.
There was a great pitch by Tomlin. Elevated it. Tough to get up there to square it up, and it's 0-2 now.
And that's the thing too, when you have that infield in, because he's a fly ball pitcher, is Tomlin, but he has enough on that fastball to get it by him at the numbers.
Went back up there.
Well, he doubled up and went high with another fastball, but he laid off of it. Wonder if he's going to try and take him off with the breaking ball down. If he throws it in the dirt, he wants the swing and a miss. He can get a strikeout, but you better be ready to block it. Cutter.
Yes, indeed he do. First strikeout for Josh Tomlin. 2 down in the inning.
Came at the right time, and Josh knows better. This is going to be our Circle K strikeout, and he couldn't have got it at a better time. It's that cutter away. Got Anderson to chase after. That ball was off the dish. It started off the plate, and it went a little bit more off the plate, but he got the swing and miss. Now a golden opportunity to get out of it with just the 1 run allowed.
And Melky Cabrera, the batter, base hit with 2 outs, and the first is single. Rockets on foul. .41 pitches for Tomlin, 31 strikes. No real surprise there. Twins Tigers tied 6-6. They're in the 5th in Detroit.
Yeah, the Twins, they can score. I don't know if they can hold them down, but they can certainly go out and score, and they're trying to play so they don't lose 100 games this year. They've got to play some pretty good baseball.
A little bit low. And a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Melky Cabrera. Awkwardly, the way he caught that.
Well, it was, because I don't know if he was crossed up.
Kind of gave that impression.
It did. It did to me. It looked like a strike, but maybe because how he caught it. His glove was turned even lower, down, instead of catching it maybe where he could have and got a call there.
Now the set of the 2-1. Bangs it foul.
See Cabrera asking the umpire now if that was a strike, but he went in, and if he was going to hit it hard, he was going to pull it foul. That's where that pitch was.
Adam Eaton is at third base. There are 2 down. And the 2-2 from Tomlin to center field. Davis, good jump on the ball, and he'll make the catch. The inning is over. White Sox lead at 1-0. Francisco Lindor will lead off the 4th for Cleveland when we return.
Access to postseason tickets by purchasing Indians season tickets for next year. Tribe season tickets, you'll get priority access to all postseason games plus opening day, team shop discounts, access to Tribe rewards, and much, much more. Just visit Indians.com/postseason for more details.
Francisco Lindor leading off and fouls a pitch away. Lindor had been hitless in the series before his 2-out double in the first. One ball, one strike. Socks that one foul. Yeah, from what we understand, the season ticket sales for next year have been rather brisk. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's a nice little perk or benefit to get to jump on postseason tickets. Ground ball up the gut. Saladino takes care of Lindor. Time for an in-game update. Here's Al Pawlowski. Six, 6, and 6, Al. That's not a good combination, generally speaking. It's a number you want to try to avoid.
They may want to start walking Brian Dozier, huh? 41 homers.
Oh, goodness. You know who's pitching now for Minnesota?
I do not.
JT Chua.
Oh, Chua is okay. That's early for him.
Well, Minnesota's got a lot of bodies in that bullpen.
Yes, they do. Well, I think every team
like
does
every
now.
team does. You're right. 0-2 pitch. Got more of the plate than he wanted, and Napoli fouls it away.
It'll look like a changeup away.
Saw another story written today about the need to tweak the September call-up roster rules. I think there's definitely going to be some debate, some discussion.
Well, there will, because they've got to, get a players' agreement in the offseason. So I'm sure that's certainly a topic that will be tabled. And it should be.
Inside, he missed. And it's 2-2. High pop. Looks like it's playable. We'll see. Garcia. Hold on. No. Couldn't quite get to it, I don't think.
You know what? That thing came back, too. But this one, where he was at or located on the field, there was probably the least amount of room in foul territory. You see that the seats come out right there where he is located and going in, and that guy, he overran it.
Yeah, I mean, it actually went back.
Yes,
over
it
his
hit
head.
that green pad right there where that guy's elbow is, so he overran that ball. That ball, I saw it start to come back a little bit, but he went a little too deep.
There. So Napoli with a full count.
Rodon started twice against the Tribe this year. First game in June, it was in Cleveland. He went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 8 hits and 2 runs. Second one again was in Cleveland. He went 6 innings, 8 hits, 2 runs. Right now, the Indians have only 2 hits off him.
but he has walked his second. Let's see if this leads to anything with Carlos Santana coming to the plate. Currently, the Indians lead the Tigers by 6, the Royals by 9. This is game 145 on the year. So you can kind of do the math. I mean, that the Tigers are going to have to play nearly perfect if the Indians just play 500. The rest of the way, we'll see how that plays itself out.
It'll be, I mean, we'll see how we do the next 2 nights, this game and tomorrow's, because then they'll be playing each other over the weekend. And that's what they're looking for. 7 games against the Indians over the course of this year for the Tigers. We'll worry about that game on Friday, but the Indians need to get at least a win here tonight.
Santana takes low, 2-0. Carlos, 88 walks on the year. That's 3rd most in the American League.
He's right there. The last 5 years for Santana, he's been in the top 5 in walks. So it's really no surprise.
Borderline, call the ball, 3-0. And Jose Ramirez waiting on deck. Rodon, like Tomlin, has been pounding the strike zone. 52 tosses, 53, and 34 of those have been strikes. But he was 3-0 to Santana before that pitch.
Back to back.
Wow, that was really close. And back-to-back walks. Now the Indians set up now with the seventh best hitter in the American League with runners in scoring position, Jose Ramirez. Jose with a 10-game hitting streak.
Well, that's something that
coming in.
You have to take advantage of one given time. You know, base runners.
Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. We'll see if Ramirez can improve upon that now. Rodon doing this all to himself with the back-to-back walks.
Yeah, you can't defense the walk.
In the dirt, and a nice stop by Narvaez.
He's thrown a lot of changeups recently.
It's the most walks he's allowed since his August 12th start against Miami. That covers 5 straight starts where he walked 2 or fewer. Now Ramirez plugs one in the gap, right center field. That'll go down. It'll go to the wall. Around third, Napoli scores. Here comes Santana. Ramirez headed to third. A 2-run triple for Jose Ramirez, and the Indians take a 2-1 lead.
The right man in the right spot, and took advantage of it to right center field. That's what makes him an RBI guy. He stays on the baseball. He doesn't try to pull it. He doesn't try to do too much with it. That's going to be our Yellowwood bringing the lumber for Ramirez. That's going to be his 3rd triple of the year. So the Indians come right back and able to take the lead because of 2 walks and a key hit by Ramirez. That's his 65th and 66th ribby. But back come the try.
Boy, give Carlos Santana credit because he was off and hustling his tail off as soon as that ball whistled through the infield. Infield comes in for Chicago now. Brandon Guyer, the batter, and he breaks his bat, bloops it in for a base hit. Scoring is Ramirez, and it's a 3-1 Indians lead. If the infield's back, I believe that's a rather easy play for the talented Chicago shortstop Tim Anderson.
Well, that's
infield
the key.
in, no chance.
And that's a breaking ball where they went at it last night, but that's what happens. It would have been close. I think you might be right. He might have been able to catch it. But they play it in, they get the run in, and that's what happens. It loosens that dugout out when you can get that first clutch hit. And he's done it all year long.
His facial expressions, I'm telling you, they're priceless. Coco Crisp. He doubled over the bag at third his first time up. Low and away, ball one. And a called strike evens the count. Coco asks for time, steps away.
Big key in this inning were the walks, setting it up. He did.
Coco strikes out. That's 3 Ks for Rodon, and there are 2 down here in the inning. Let's go down to Andre.
Well, you know, with Jose Ramirez, earlier in the year, he's quite quiet. Stayed very close to Juan Uribe. Didn't say much to many people, as he was last year. But I remember at the beginning of this game, there was one voice I heard the first inning through right up till now, and it was Ramirez behind the pitcher or over here on the bench rooting for other guys. It just seems, as this year has gone along, we talk about his confidence at the plate, but he's become one of the vocal leaders on this team, a guy that was not tight early in this game, a guy that is pumping guys up. It's just amazing to watch when a guy gets some confidence at the plate, what he becomes in the dugout and in the clubhouse.
Well, and it's amazing when you play every day, what you can do, and he's been out there every single day. He's one guy that never gets a day off, and you can do that, boy. When you're out there every day, you lead by example, and now vocally he's starting to do it from the dugout. Good to hear.
Remember back to early in the season a year ago when he was the everyday starting shortstop. It's not that he didn't have confidence, but I just don't think there was the kind of comfort level for him that we see now. And maybe the two go hand in hand. When you know you belong, then you feel more comfortable. I guess that tends to make a lot of sense. And this year he's been a different guy.
When you struggle and you're playing every day, it's tough to, you know what I'm saying? It can snowball on you when you're a young player. Deep down, I think he knew that Lindor is down there waiting to come up and play shortstop too.
Oh, there's no doubt. But this year, he's just been him. He's just been himself. He's been. I hate to use the term savior, but you think about what he's meant to the offense without Michael Brantley, and it's incalculable how valuable he has been. Mike Napoli over there telling him how impressed he is with that piece of hitting going the other way. The 2-run triple.
Yeah, he was on second base. He got it started with a walk. He got to see that approach that Ramirez put on.
And that's where Nap's been a great addition to this club. you know, he has gone out of his way to interact with everybody on this team, not just, you know, the guys that locker next to him, not just the guys that hit around him in the lineup, but everybody, pitchers included. And I know Andre can speak to that. There have been times where he's taken a pitcher aside.
Yes, does it all the time. The other thing is, when you see those two standing together, they don't look like they match. So they don't.
They don't match.
They don't, but they do. They are built the same way. I asked Snap, I go, what made you, get to Ramirez? He goes, man, the first time he walked in the room with that walk, he goes, I got to find out what lets that guy walk with that type of confidence. He goes, I fell in love with him. He goes, they play cards every day. They talk hitting every day. It's one of his favorite guys on the team.
That's what baseball, the beauty of baseball is, you've got two guys from completely different walks of life, two completely different cultures, but they get in that clubhouse and they've got that common bond of hitting a baseball, and they can talk about that and share the experience of that, and it breaks down a lot of barriers. Swing and a miss. Jimenez down on strikes to end the inning. But Jose Ramirez doing what he does best, driving them in. 3-1 Cleveland, middle of the fourth. Games this season in college football is only on Fox. For the first time in 33 years, number 3 Ohio State takes on Oklahoma. Don't miss this historic event in Norman, Saturday at 7 Eastern, only on Fox. Say it with me now, Arch. Oklahoma.
I heard you.
And don't forget, Saturday's game between the Indians and the Royals can only be seen on FS1. So check your local listings for the channel on your cable guide.
Well, that ball game be going to Oklahoma.
Here's Jose Abreu. He lined out to left. First time up, it was a pitch that Tomlin probably held his breath on when it left the bat. But it was a line drive rather than one of those high launching homers that Abreu has been known to hit. Nubs this one to short. And Lindor has an easy play. 1-0. And that's going to bring up Omar Narvaez, who flied to center his only time up back in the second inning. Long way to go in this one, but so far, you have to like what you've seen from Josh Tomlin. And I say that because, Rick, you know, some of his starts before he was taken out of the rotation initially, it was early where they got to him. That start against Minnesota, he only lasted an inning and 2/3. Before that, it was Boston and Toronto. He didn't make it out of the 5th in either of those.
Well, he's had time to sit down and think about it. His last start, August 30th. It's given him a rest, I'm sure. I'm sure his arm feels very well. He wants to contribute. And you know what? I know Tito trusted him to come into this game and give him a good start. You know, the nice thing is they bounced right back after they scored a run. Back come the Indians and they take the lead. Now it's up to Tomlin here to go 1, 2, 3 and get his offense right back in.
Omar Narvaez does not like the call by the third base umpire Lance Barrett. I can understand why. But you pointed, you asked. Be careful what you ask for. Swung on and missed. Tomlin evens the count at 2-2. Josh has 1 strikeout tonight. Popped him up.
Come on back.
Jimenez to the on-deck circle and makes the catch.
Nice.
2 down.
Elevated. A little bit above the belt. Comes down around the trademark. It stays in play. Jimenez makes the play. And it's out number 2.
Here's Todd Frazier. Rounded out his only time up. And that big curveball misses inside. Todd Frazier has the batting helmet. He's got it cocked up, you know. He's got it. It's almost like you see a guy at the end of a long, hard day's work, and he just kind of pushes his cap up and go, whew.
Maybe so the bill doesn't come down and get in his eye how he's picking up the baseball.
Yeah, got to be something to it. Big swing and a miss, 2-1. Some guys like want it down so they almost get a tunnel vision of the pitcher, whereas he wants it up so he can maybe just get it. Obviously, it has something to do with the way he sees the ball.
Yeah.
Foul, third base side.
Well, he was ready for that one. Send out some birthday wishes. Leo Franchino turning 89 from Peyton, Ohio, and Roger Miller 80 from Archbold, Ohio.
You should have been born in Archbold.
Maybe I was.
Frazier on the cutter fouls it off the end of the bat. And there's a drive deep left center off the wall. Frazier into second base with a 2-out double.
Just his 16th double of the year. Hit that ball on the line, but it got to the wall, and Rajai Davis got over there and played it nicely coming off, but it's a double all the way. There was a fastball he elevated, and it got a little too much of the plate. Frazier took advantage of it. At least it stayed in the park, get about halfway up. So it'll be a 2-out double now.
Low and away. Slowly chopped to third. Ramirez will go to first, and the inning is over. 3-1 Cleveland as we go to the 5th, and Jason Kipnis, who coming into tonight is batting .295 on the year against left-handed pitching. Well, he'll be leading off. Well, he'll be batting second when we come back. Indians baseball is brought to you by Levin Furniture. For the best deals on furniture and mattresses, shop Levin's. And by Bank of America. Life's better when we're connected. Rajai Davis leading off for the Indians. Here in the 5th, Tribe on top 3-1. Indians got to Carlos Rodon with 3 runs in the 4th, and he helped set it up by walking back-to-back hitters with 1 out. Carlos Rodon was a first-round pick, 3rd overall back in 2014 out of North Carolina State. That ball smoked left field down all the way to the wall. And Rajai will go into second base with a leadoff double. So the Indians get their leadoff man aboard for the second time tonight.
Yeah, they did it back in the 3rd inning and it stopped the string. It was though they didn't do it for their first 18 innings, but now let's see if they take advantage of it and add on here. Davis gets his 23rd double. A breaking ball from Rodon.
And here's Jason Kipnis now 0 for 2 on the night. He has grounded out and banged into a double play, but overall this year he has been very good against left-handed pitching. Maybe that's just because Terry Francona's played him every day. You know, instead of saying, hey, we're going to give you some nights off against left tough, hey, you're going to play every day.
You know what?
And on most days, Rick, when they play a lefty, he's the only left-handed bat in the lineup.
You're right. And you know, a couple years ago, he was good against left-handers, too. He's consistent. When he's swinging the bat, he can hit. It doesn't matter. Lefty, righty. He's got a great approach, and this has been his most consistent year, so he should be in there every day.
And I know Tito will look at, there are certain left-handers, like maybe if it's a Chris Sale or somebody that maybe he'll give him a day off because, I mean, the numbers tell you there are certain left-handers that just, they're hard to hit for left-handed hitters. But for the most part, Kipnis has answered the bell every time.
Well, he's fine. He's consistent. What scares me about this team is we can't get a bunt down when we want to. When you go into October and you're playing playoff baseball, man, you've got to move runners along, and they have had a tough time doing it.
Can you go into a bunting slump?
They don't bunt to begin with, so when you have to, they don't have the confidence in doing it. That's why I'm thinking, you know, early in the game when you're trying and your offense is struggling, you should be bunting just to try and get the lead. I don't know if it's called a slump. I just think it's lack of execution, man. Every guy's got to take upon himself to be able to do it in the situation. It's not a slump. Now, especially if you're hitting at the bottom part of the lineup, those guys better be able to do it or they shouldn't be playing.
In the dirt, nicely picked by Narvaez.
Nice pick. It saved that. You know, Davis will run. He's stolen more bases off left-handers than anybody in the league. So I'll tell you what, you got to really keep your eye on that guy at second base. And Narvaez did a beautiful job to just knock that ball down and keep Rajai at second. And you can see where Anderson's playing, right in his back pocket. He is right behind him.
Kipnis shoots it by Anderson. And Rajai will get to third. He'll have to stop there.
Nice job. There's a beautiful job of hitting right there. Because they were jockeying Davis back, he had to play so close to second base. Kipnis drives the ball to that side of the field and gets a base hit because they're worried about Davis. Right there, you can credit Rajai a little bit for that hit. You see where he's going. He had to keep close. He couldn't get there to the backhand side. It'll go as a base hit. So Kipnis moves him up. It's first and third. Indians back in business.
And it was really good base running by Rajai, because had he broken for third and Anderson makes that play, then he's probably a dead duck at third base and you can't get thrown out there. So even though you would have loved to have had the RBI single, you've got first and third, nobody out. And the bullpen phone ringing for Chicago as Lindor steps in.
Yeah, this has been this guy's rockiest start in his last 8. His last 7 have been quality starts. 5-0 in his last 7. I told you, an ERA of under 2.
Don Cooper.
6 hits, 4 of them extra base hits.
Not a play.
He hurt himself by walking 2 last inning. And they're coming right back with first and third and nobody out and a chance to add on.
Blake Smith gets up in the Chicago pen. And the 0-2. I was mentioning before, Rodon came out of North Carolina State, but the backstory is an interesting one. His father fled Cuba when he was only 5 years old with his family in 1967, relocating in Miami. His dad grew up loving baseball because, you know, Florida's a hotbed for spring training. Lots of chances to go and watch. Took his son to go watch the University of Miami when he was little, but then they relocated to North Carolina. And Rodon was Carlito, as they call him in his family. He was always into baseball since he was knee high. Well, he's a freshman in high school and he's getting his brains beat in because the juniors and seniors and upperclassmen are kind of knocking him around a little bit. 0-2 pitch, and he gets Lindor to go down swinging for the first out of the inning. But his mom took him to, you know, one of those clinics where you get some instruction, and the coaches there just reassured him, hey kid, your stuff's good enough. And he had gotten into the bad habits that you see young pitchers at the big leagues get into, pitching away from contact. He said, look, you're going to grow, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get velocity. Don't worry about those big guys.
Trust your stuff.
Trust your stuff. So he learned that at a very young age, which is why I think we have seen a guy who's not afraid to attack, probably. As you remember, Rodman brought him into a game, bases loaded, nobody out, first time in the big leagues.
Yeah, his first appearance.
Runner goes. And a steal for Kipnis, uncontested.
Well, that's a good job. Take off. They weren't going to throw through regardless. Kipnis will get his 12th. Just make sure he goes to the plate. He's concentrating on a hitter right now, so that takes the double play out of one thing. And now the infield's going to come in again with Napoli hitting. So a free at bat here.
Broken bat, and it's going to drop on the infield. Saladino looked home, but nobody was coming because you just couldn't.
No, you can't run here. Davis was thinking about it. He stopped because he was not sure and he wanted to get started. You can't go. And look at he's upset with himself, but nothing you could do there. That was a tweener.
Deep in
And sure he did. I mean, they're in, and that ball was deep into the kitchen. Couldn't he barely make the grass? So now Rodon with a chance to get out of this inning, and boy, would that be a boost for him and the White Sox.
Well, here's Santana hoping to thwart that kind of thinking.
Another little distraction over there at third base. So now Sanchez maybe come a little bit closer to the bag. We'll see. No, he's going to back up.
And a pitch inside, ball one. 97 miles an hour, so Rodon reaching back right now.
Yeah, there's certain outs you have to get as a pitcher. He's got the first two, the tough two, with runners in scoring position, and he's not allowed them to score. Now he's emptying it out here. And that may work.
Popped him up in the foul ground. Frazier can't get it.
Boy, a break there for Santana. Looked like it was in the first, maybe the second row. It was a lot like down the right field line with Garcia going over there. See the fans reaching in, and boy, that was right there for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just didn't get over there quick enough.
Again, he's not a first baseman. I mean, you have to get to the railing as quick as possible. It's called drifting. You drift over there, you know, instead of getting there in a hurry.
Line drive center field. Eaton makes the catch. Well, the Indians just cannot take advantage of opportunities. The first two reach, they do not score. They lead it 3-1.
Home on Friday night. It'll be the last homestand of the year, and on Friday it'll be Dollar Dog Night. Tigers will be in town for a big 3-game series. Plus, you can rock Red Tribe gear all weekend as the Tribe make their final push in the Central Division. Just go to Indians.com for your tickets. That guy's rocking the Red Indians jersey there.
Carlos Sanchez showing bunt, pulls it back. In the dirt. Tomlin fires a strike in there. 2-1 pulled foul.
Alec, no, I'm up.
Sanchez on it, but couldn't square it. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count. There's a big curveball to lock him up.
Great pitch.
Second strikeout tonight for Tomlin. 1 away.
And the last one came at the time when you had a runner in scoring position and nobody out, but there's the breaking ball over the outside edge, gets the call, gets the first out.
Remember, Sanchez popped that curveball up the last time, shallow left. This time he said, well, if I can't hit it out there, I'll just take it. Maybe I'll call it a ball.
Another breaking ball right there into the ground. 2 quick outs.
Tyler Saladino retired. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Adam Eaton with an RBI triple with 1 out in the 3rd, scoring Tyler Saladino with the first run of the game. The Indians came right back in the 4th. Back-to-back walks and then a 2-run triple by Jose Ramirez, followed by a broken bat RBI single from Brandon Guyer. And that has been all the scoring so far. Top of the order, Adam Eaton. His league-leading 9th triple in that 3rd inning. And he's gone 5 for 10 in the series. Detroit's gone ahead of Minnesota on the 32nd home run of the year by Miguel Cabrera, 7-6. They're in the 8th inning now in Detroit.
Baltimore beat Boston 1-0 tonight. Now they're a game behind Boston.
It's an unusually low-scoring affair for those two teams.
Yeah, I'll say. In Fenway Park, 1-0 game. Tough to do. Nice pitch.
And Napoli will flip it. The inning is over. The Sox go in order. We go to the 6th. Cleveland 3, Chicago 1. Profile brought to you by Levin Furniture. Brandon Guyer, a 5th-round pick of the Cubs back in '07 out of Virginia. Good high school football player. Came over from the Tampa Bay Rays, where he earned the nickname La Piñata. The number of times he's been hit by a pitch. But last night, he got hit by one that really left a mark. He's in the on-deck circle as Jose Ramirez leads off. And Carlos Rodon with the first pitch strike. And Ramirez checks it's outside. To third, and it's by Sanchez, who dove for the ball, could not come up with it. And a 2-hit game for Ramirez. And the Indians have their leadoff man aboard. And we go down to Andre Knott.
Well, Guyer came out of the game last night after he was hitting the Terry Francona said it was just because there was a lefty on the mound and he wanted to get him out of there. So I asked him today, I go, how'd it feel? He goes, that was the worst one of the year. He goes, I never want to be hitting that spot again. So someone that doesn't know Brandon very well said after they heard me say that, they go, so you'll be moving next time? He looked at him and goes, you don't know me very well. I'm not changing who I am.
No, he can't move. The lower half, once it gets set, it just doesn't flinch.
Well, obviously he doesn't move because he's been hit 30 times. That's a lot.
And again, he's not a guy that strides into the pitch. He doesn't crowd the plate unusually. It just, I mean, look, he's well off the dish.
Yeah, he just never moves his legs.
Imagine if remember Carl Everett? Imagine if he never moved. He'd have been hit 100 times more. He was on top of home plate. He played here for the White Sox at one point in his career.
Yes, he did.
Ramirez itching to go. He's off. Guyer shoots one between third and short. It finds a hole. And Ramirez goes all the way to third. A perfect seeing eye single for Brandon Guyer.
Well, I think he was blocked out a little bit. Anderson was. By the time Sanchez went over to get it, may have interfered with him, and it was a tough look. And then Ramirez, he was off running. He picked it up. And there you go. I'll tell you what happened. Sanchez, it went off his glove.
He deflected it, didn't he?
He sure did. Watch him. That ball's going to take off. That wasn't Anderson's fault. It went off the end of Sanchez's glove. And Ramirez is able to pick it up, so he'll go to third. Now the Indians, another opportunity presents. Get the lead. Get them in. They're going down to number 8 and 9 now.
Coco Crisp struck out his last time up. Before that, he doubled. Now he drills one to deep left, deep into Souvenir City. Coco Crisp, a 3-run homer. And that'll cure an ailing offense in a hurry, as the Indians now lead it 6-1.
Well, he's been beat a few times by the Indians tonight on the breaking ball. In this one, none bigger than this. One swing cost him 3 runs. It's the 20th home run allowed by Rodon, and watch the location. Boom. That might have been a changeup. Hard to tell. It was off speed, but it went out of here, and Coco knew it. So they have 6 on the board now.
And Carlos Rodon does not retire a batter in the 6th inning. So one of his shortest outings in quite some time, as he'll go just 5 innings and a couple of batters. You've got to go all the way back. Man, I don't know. One of his short. You got to go back to July 5th against the Yankees. Last time he only went 5 innings in a ball game.
Yeah.
So the Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen has been made. We'll be back. Indians up now 6-1. blast for the Tribe here in the 6th. Chasing the Chicago starter, and here is Blake Smith, the right-hander, and Chris Jimenez. First ball swinging, chops one to Sanchez. 1 down.
Let's take a look at the swing of Coco Crisp. Hit a changeup, and that slowed it down too much of the plate, but Coco was ready for it. And that's only the 3rd home run that Rodon has allowed in his last 8 starts.
20th on the year. He goes 5+ tonight. 6 runs, 9 hits, walked 2, struck out 5. The Indians finally get the offense to break loose. Blake Smith, 3rd appearance.
Yeah, he came in the first game of this series, gave up a home run. That was to Mike Napoli. And the Indians trying to beat Rodon for the first time in his career.
It's the 10th hit of the night for Cleveland.
That's what you were talking about. Get some hits, getting to double digits. A couple of key hits. They've had opportunities tonight. This is the most opportunities they've had in a long time out on the road.
You can still get a lot of hits and not score. I mean, I've seen it happen. But with this team, generally, they get 10 hits. They're gonna score some runs.
The big hit was Ramirez, the triple, getting him on the board, giving him the lead after the Indians gave up a run in the 3rd. They come right back in the top of the 4th, and it seemed like everybody else relaxed. And Jose Ramirez did it again. And then Coco adds that big 3-pointer. Those are just nice hitting at the time.
Jason Kipnis last inning had a big hit. It looked like it was going to open up a big inning, but it didn't transpire. It just never materialized. The Indians had 1st and 3rd after that single by Kipnis in the 5th, and then they went 1, 2, 3. Not getting a ball to the infield.
That was Jose, man, that got him on the board after Rodon had walked 2. But he got the big hit there, gets him on the board. They were able to get him home. And they have had innings where they've been able to do it, but they weren't able to capitalize. But they do in the 4th, they do in the 6th. And that was their goal, to go out there and get this offense rolling. You had Josh Tomlin coming in, making his first start since the 30th of August. And they knew they wanted to get him some runs. Well, they've done that. He's given them 1-run baseball through 5. It still looks pretty fresh.
Rajay almost got too far off the bag.
Well, Frazier wasn't back at the bag to apply the tag. I think they might have had a shot at him if he's back there. What he did, he stopped. He took off, took 2 steps, and he's getting back. But watch, Frazier just way in front of the bag. He can't reach him. Not normally a first baseman, and it showed in the 2 games that we've seen him play.
Blake Smith was a really good outfielder. He was a big-time prospect coming out of high school, went to Cal. He's an outfielder and also a pitcher. And then Dodgers made him a 2nd-round pick. His first 4 seasons, he was a position player, left-handed hitting outfielder. 20 home runs in a single season in the minors. Down a 2nd, not in time. A stolen base for Rajay Davis, his leading 36th of the year.
He doesn't hesitate. I knew he was going to take off. He looks back, checking out the pitch, still has time to beat the throw into 2nd base as Kipnis took it high. It was a good pitch to throw on, too, a high fastball. So he's doing a little homework out there. Tying the shoe, putting the up glove back on.
Arch, curious question, quickly.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you guys that a guy that doesn't play every day can lead the American League in stolen bases? What does that say about baseball?
Well, they don't run anything like they used to. You know, the way the ball's flying out of the ballpark now, that nobody wants to make outs on the bases. But he's very aggressive. He's done it. I'll tell you what, he set the pace for this team this year. When he was playing a lot earlier in the year, he doesn't. He steals bases when you need them, and that's a good base stealer. It's been fun to watch him run the bases. It really has.
3-2 to Kipnis. And hit the bag. It's a fair ball. Nice barehanded stop by Frazier. Otherwise, that ball would have gone by him, and Kipnis would have had himself at least a single, if not a double.
That really was a good play. Frazier barehanded. That was just reactionary. That ball hit the bag, and you don't know that. He's going over, and then he has enough presence to, he threw that hand up and knocked it right there and makes the play. Heads up play. Saved a run, at least to this point, with the bare hand. Really good play there by Todd Frazier.
And Lindor will bat with a runner at third and 2 down. And a fastball down and in. 1-0. I was saying before that Blake Smith was a position player originally drafted by the Dodgers, and that's how he spent his first few years of professional baseball. But he says, you want to talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The Dodgers already had Matt Kemp and Ethier and Jock Peterson and Puig. And he said at one point, I said, I would like a shot one day to get to the big leagues. And the Dodgers said, what do you think about going to the mound and pitching? And he said, okay. He didn't resist it. He embraced it. But I mean, I can't imagine that was an easy transition.
Well,
just one day, boom, you switch.
And then he's continuing to learn that.
Got a good arm, no question about that. Padres actually took a flyer on him. They made him a Rule 5 draft pick last December. But again, that's one of those deals for the folks who don't know. You've got to stay on the big league roster for the entire season, or you get sent back, and that's what happened. The Padres just figured they didn't have a spot for him on the big league club the entire year out of the bullpen, so he came back to the White Sox. And we'll see how the rest of the story plays out from here. He was asked, Blake Smith was asked, do you miss it? Do you ever think, man, maybe I'd like to go back out there and grab a bat? And he said, no, I've actually said no thank you on a couple of pitchers' batting practice sessions, which he said,
really?
I never would have thought I would do that. But he said, it's in the rearview mirror. No sense trying to hold on to the past.
Yeah, he knows. He knows how tough it is to hit. He was a hitter at one time.
The 3-2. And a broken bat bouncer to second. And that will end the inning. But Coco Crisp, does he come up big for the Tribe here in the 6th. He slams one out of here, chasing the starter. 6-1 Cleveland. Saturday with two big games in the American League. First on Fox, Red Sox Yankees at Fenway Park. Then on FS1, the Tigers come to Cleveland to take on the Indians at 3:30 Eastern, where you can watch both games live on Fox Sports Go. So Josh Tomlin's night over after just 5 innings of work.
Well, that's okay. He ends on a positive note.
He hasn't pitched in a while, so I don't know if that plays into it.
I think, you know what, you get him out of there. They got him some runs. He did a nice job. Almonte goes into the ball game out and right for Geyer. I'm sure it was great for Josh to get back out there, make another start. He did what he had to do. It's only the 3rd time this year he has not allowed a home run in the start, so that's good.
Dan Otero with a strike to Tim Anderson, and it's 1-2. Anderson is grounded out, and he has struck out tonight. Blown away. 2-2. Low, full count. To first, and Mike Napoli with a nice play defensively. 1 down.
Well, Josh Tomlin went out there and had that cutter working very well tonight. Moved his fastball, had a couple of nice curveballs in play, kept the hitters off stride, gave up 4 hits, gave up a double and a triple, and able to keep the ball in the ballpark. And again, pitches a good game against a Central Division team.
72 pitches on the night. And Otero with a fastball strike to Melky Cabrera. Bullseye. That's 0-2. Not a play. Oakland blanking Kansas City right now 8-0. They're in the 9th inning at Kauffman. Astros lead the Rangers 5-1 in the 7th.
Oh, he went down and put a good swing on the baseball there.
Melky's 2nd hit of the night. Cabrera aboard with 1 down here in the 6th. T-Mobile, greater coverage of baseball. John Lester and the Cubs rolling. They have 1 win to go to clinch the NL Central Division.
Yeah, they'll play the Brewers here in Chicago tomorrow night with the opportunity to clinch, which will be nice for them at home. Cubbies 93 wins already.
Jose Abreu takes it inside. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Big game just getting underway out on the West Coast. Seattle still hanging in there in that American League wild card race. They need a win tonight. Taking on the Angels.
They need a win every night. They've won 7 straight. to bring themselves, still back into contention. They still got a lot of work and need some help.
Yeah, they can move ahead of the Yankees in the wild card standings, and
they moved ahead of Houston already, so they fought their way back into it.
They'd stay just a half game behind Detroit. Got to give them credit. Now the 1-2. Low. Tigers did go on to win tonight at home against Minnesota, 9-6 the final there. Foul, third base side. So Detroit 78 and 67. They go to 11 over 500. By the way, that was Gosman and Porcello. Porcello was going for his 21st win, and he loses 1-0. How about that?
The man that gets the most runs in all of baseball now gets shut out, and will end up taking the L in that game.
It was a solo homer by Trumbo. And there's a strikeout for Otero, and Tito's going to make a move to the bullpen. So Otero gets the second out, but Terry's going to make a move here with Omar Narvaez coming to the plate. So we'll be right back with 2 down in the 6th, and the Indians up 5. For the Indians, 68th appearance on the year, and Omar Narvaez to the plate. He is 0 for 2.
Do it.
One pitch, one out, inning over. 6 in the books. Indians 6, White Sox 1. Baseball is brought to you by Ford, built Ford tough. By the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. And by Adventure, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. A spectacular evening in the Heartland. Chicago, Illinois, 6-1 Cleveland. Third pitcher of the night for the White Sox, Michael Inoue. He's got Napoli, Santana, Ramirez due up for the Tribe. Napoli walked and scored back in the 4th inning. High pop, that's going to go out of play.
Wants him to elevate that ball and get it up above the belt. See if he puts it up there again. They're coming down with a breaking ball.
The way outside.
You know, as a catcher, you can have a game plan and you want to execute. Tell him, let me have a high fastball, but sometimes that pitcher can't get it up there as high as you want it.
A little bit low.
And it happens in Napoli a lot because when they get ahead of him, he always finds a way to work his way back into a count.
Topper to short. Anderson, easy play. Set and throw. 1 down. Hey fans, you can get priority access for the postseason to any game at Progressive Field. All you have to do, buy season tickets for next year. You'll get opening day priority, access to Tribe rewards, much more. Indians.com/postseason or call the Tribe at 216-420-HITS today. Looking forward to returning home to a big homestand with the Tigers. I understand limited tickets, if there are any left at all, for those first 2 games, Friday and Saturday, between Cleveland and Detroit.
The final homestand of the year.
That is right.
Believe it or not.
Wasn't there a TV show called that? Believe It or Not?
Kansas City, the White Sox, and the Tigers will be. Oh boy, that one got away. Get the umpire right on his shin guard.
That's why you wear them pads.
Boy, I'll say. It seems to be okay. It came inside. I don't know if Narvaez even got a glove on it. Let's see. It goes down and in.
Right off the old shin guard.
Yeah, it sure did.
Kick save and a beauty. It'll be hockey season before long, too. Santana. And lay off a close pitch. And it's 3-1. Carlos drew his 89th walk of the year back in the 4th. And came around and scored on the triple by Ramirez. Swinging 3-1. High, foul, and dirt. Into the seats it goes. And with that shift on, nobody was really close to it.
Right. That thing was up there forever, but where they are playing him dead to pull. So it's a long way to run for a foul ball. You know, as a defender, you're running after that ball saying, I can't catch this thing, but I still have to go after it.
Yeah.
You can't let up. You got to go. But you know you're not going to catch it.
Threw it by him. Good pitch by Inoue. And there are 2 down. He's got a good fastball. This was earlier in the game. If you missed it, back in the 4th. 2 on, 1 out. And Jose Ramirez shot it into the right center field gap. Knapp, Santana scored. Jose in the 3rd. And the Indians were off and running tonight.
Yeah, and then, you know, the White Sox had just got on the board in the bottom half of the 3rd, and it was 2 walks prior to that two RBI triple. So they were back right at it, took the lead again, and that was just really a big base hit. Their offense has struggled on the road recently.
Rope foul. Look out down the right side. And it's 1-1.
When in trouble or when in need, call Hosey.
Michael Inoue ready with the 1-1. This kid was 6'4" when he was 13 years old, and international scouts were calling him a once-in-a-lifetime kind of prospect. Imagine being 13 years old, and the scouts are already
6'4"?
calling you a once-in-a-lifetime guy.
That's scary.
Oakland signed him for a ton of money at him, but just the burden of expectations have been against him from day one. Pulls it foul again. Inoue.
It's a little awkward too, isn't it? You're 14 or 13 and you're 6'4", man. That's like a giraffe among the kids his age.
He's still trying to figure out how to talk to girls, let alone thinking about pro baseball. The 1-2 out of play. As is the case with a lot of Latin players, his name was originally spelled M-I-C-H-E-L, but it was anglicized after he signed with Oakland to the spelling of Michael. His last name, too, was changed at one point. His last name is spelled Y-N-O-A, but at one time it was spelled I-N-O-A. The Oakland A's said, well, at one point there was some confusion along the way, and he became known as Michael Inoue. But now we got the spelling right, back to the traditional Y. To left field, on the run, Melky Cabrera makes the catch inside the line, and the inning is over. The Tribe goes in order. Stretch time in Chicago. The Indians lead it 6-1.
including savings and access to Tribe Rewards. Today's Tribe Rewards TV code is Shaw. Visit Indians.com season tickets for complete details.
Well, Shaw, as in Brian, is having himself another workmanlike year coming out of that bullpen, logging the appearances. 68th time he's pitched this year. So you know before it's all said and done, he'll go over 70. And that'll give him 4 consecutive years of 70 appearances or more out of the bullpen.
Yeah, he's got one of those arms. He, you know.
2 years ago, he led the league with 80 appearances.
He bounces back, and that's one reason why Tito loves him. He's a guy that he's not going to shy away from his appearances. He goes out there, and you remember at one point in time this year, people, boy, they wanted him to get rid of him.
Oh, sure.
Get him out of his job. But I'll tell you what, he comes back, he goes 18, 19 appearances without allowing anything.
Coco Crisp got a great jump, runs it down, 1 away. It's like, you know, when you're a relief pitcher, it's almost like what was the saying? It used to be the most popular guy on a football team was the backup quarterback.
Yeah, until he had to play.
Right, and that's the way it is when you're a bullpen guy. The minute you slip, everybody, get that bum out of here, get somebody else.
Oh, I know it. You give up runs, they don't like you for that night, but you know they love you for every time you put up a 0. You know, it's a tough life.
But the thing I was going to point out about Shaw, with all the appearances, the most innings he's ever pitched was 76 1/3. Even with that 80 appearances,
yeah, he's monitored.
Still less than an inning per timeout. When you think about your day, we were talking the other day about Raleigh Fingers and those guys. I mean, Goose Gosses, they'd be well over 100
innings, no question. No question.
Different era, different time. Not trying to compare. I'm just saying it's.
Well, the only time Brian gets himself in trouble a lot of times when he's not throwing strikes and he's pitching from behind. And you know, sometimes he's a thrower. He goes out there in that cutter, and everything it has a tendency to be hard. You know, and he doesn't back off. He's got a very good slider, but when he's on, he's unhittable. The teams that seem to get him are the teams that in our division that he pitches a lot against, because he's going to face some of the tough guys.
Right at Lindor, who made a tough play look easy. 2 down. Ball was hit hard.
Yeah, it was.
But he vacuumed it up easily. Yeah. Turns up Carlos Sanchez. Sanchez fly to left, called out on strikes last time up. Just inside. Six runs on 10 hits for Cleveland. 1 run, 5 hits for Chicago. Tomlin started. He was terrific. He only went 5, but he only gave up 1 run. Didn't walk anybody. 4 hits. Dan Otero worked in 2/3 of a scoreless inning, and now Shaw has worked 1 scoreless frame. Trying to make it an inning and a third flawless. 4 up, 4 down for Brian Shaw. And we'll go to the 8th with the Indians up 5. Is presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians.
Well, the Tribe is going tonight. 6 runs. And that has been an issue. We talked about it in the open of our telecast that offensively in their previous 12 road games, the Indians 8 times have been held to 1 run or less. 1 run or less. Abraham Almonte, first ball swinging, drives it deep, and what a catch by Adam Eaton. Up against the wall in deep center field. I don't know if he took a home run away. Definitely took extra bags away from Almonte.
Well, he had it timed perfectly, that's for sure. He runs back and he knew right where he was located in this ballpark. 2 steps on that track and he jumps right into it. I don't think it would have been out of the park, but it's still a fine running catch by Eaton. That ball would not have been out. Well timed. And for Almonte, nothing to show for it. That's too bad.
Now Coco Crisp, who clobbered that 3-run homer as a right-handed hitter back in the 6th inning, and that was the dagger tonight for Chicago. And now he hits one to right field, and running it down is Garcia for out number 2. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. 3rd inning, he doubled over the bag. And then in the 6th, he knocked Rodon out of the game.
Yeah, 3-run homer. Boy, Rodon hasn't been giving up home runs. Coco able to get one.
Chris Gimenez 0 for 2. You mentioned it. That was a changeup, first pitch changeup, and the question is as a hitter, is that a case where you just location speeds up your bat and you clobber it? You're not looking first pitch changeup,
no,
right?
No, you're not. I just think that was bad location, and then you're exactly right. Speeds up his bat. You don't want that pitch middle in. You'd rather have that pitch down and away where if he swings at it, you roll over on it, hit a little weak ground ball. Especially with runners in scoring position. But they did a nice job of hitting the off-speed stuff from Rodon tonight. The sliders, the changeups.
To center. 1, 2, 3. Bottom of the 8th coming up. 6-1 Cleveland. Miller on to face the number 9 hitter. And then 1 and 2. Tyler Saladino, Adam Eaton, Tim Anderson do up. You see the numbers from Miller on the year.
Yeah, it's been tough trying to get to your back end of the bullpen so far on this trip. Haven't had many leads to protect.
And a first pitch strike. Chop to short. Lindor. Big hop. Throws him out, 1 away. Let's go down to Andre.
You know, there's a lot of talk before the game, and someone asked Terry Francona, talking about just being tight in this moment in September. And he was asked about the first time he was in this moment with Boston. He said this is the best time of his life. He said after managing in Philadelphia and not having good teams, it was hard to come to the park in September. You had to fake it for his players and make his players feel good about the situation. He says this is easy. This should be fun. And he's told all of his coaches around him, don't change who you are. Don't let the players see you yelling and screaming. Let's be who we are so these guys don't get tight and they can enjoy the moment. The other thing is, he says he understands fans. He says, I know fans are tight. He goes, I go to University of Arizona basketball games, and I used to yell at Lute Olson. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, when you put things into perspective, you're right. I mean, people are chasing you. You guys have worked hard to be where you are. No time to get tight now.
That's why, exactly what Andre was talking about, that's why you hear stories of nice play by Ramirez as he unloads in a hurry to get the speedy Eaton 2 down. You'll hear coaches like, okay, they're going to the Super Bowl. They don't want to change the way they operate. They don't want to make a big deal, make it special. You go, it's the same routine. You stay with your routine. And that's what Terry's basically trying to impress upon everybody and the players and the veterans who've been there. Don't change. The games are getting ratcheted up, the excitement, the intensity, but you can't let that influence how you play the game.
Yeah, well, you know, it's tough if you've never been through it before. You know, these guys they have to go through it to find out. Of course, there's a few guys that have, and hopefully they can help let everybody else relax, but it's not an easy thing to do. Everybody, you walk around, everybody is pumped up for it. You know, you got to win now. You got to do it now. They want you to clinch tonight. Well, we can't because our number is 13 or whatever it is. You know, you have to remain patient. And it's pretty even keel when you're down in the clubhouse and around the guys. You know, they are that way.
Absolutely. I've told people this before. I mean, if you walked into a clubhouse in the month of September compared to, say, in second week of June, other than the number of players that are in there, you wouldn't know the difference. Swing and a miss. Miller makes quick work of the White Sox. We go to the ninth. Indians up 5. Stay tuned right after the ball game for Alan Jensen with Indians Live. Right here we go to the 9th, and top of the order due up for Cleveland. Juan Minaya will be the new pitcher for Chicago. Boy, was that fun watching Andrew Miller. When he's on like that, it's just like,
well, you blink your eyes and the inning's over.
butter, meat, hot knife. Rajay tonight, couple of hits, a double, a single, a stolen base. Right back into the mask. Narvaez seems to be okay. Just off the end of the bat, otherwise that might have gone a long way. Just didn't quite barrel it. One down. Recap the keys to the game brought to you by Mazda. Jose Ramirez, big 2-run triple. Coco, the 3-run homer as the Indians respond to the beating the White Sox game, the first 2 games of the series.
Yeah, those were the 2 big hits. Tomlin, nice start for him. Happy for him to see the way he pitched tonight.
And strike
now with Salazar probably not going to pitch again the rest of this year. He has to step back into that rotation where he was so good the first half of the year.
Foul ball to short. Two down. Way outside. Lindor. He doubled way back in the first. Juan Minaya with the 2-0 pitch, and it's fouled out of play. Lindor shoots one to left, and it's caught to end the inning. That's 11 in a row retired by the White Sox bullpen, but the Indians still lead it 6-1. Ninth inning in our Pat O'Brien play of the game. Jose Ramirez, boy, did he shoot this one to the gap at just the right time. That came in the fourth inning with the Indians at that point down 1-0. It scored Napoli and Santana, and eventually Ramirez would come around to score as well, and the Indians will take a 6-1 lead now into the bottom of the ninth with Cody Allen taking over on the mound.
Cody making his 60th appearance, getting some work. Opposition just a 184 batting average against Cody.
Elkie Cabrera leading off, 2 hits on the night. He shoots it in the left field and a base hit for Cabrera. His 3rd hit of the night. Michael Martinez has taken over at second base. And Jose Abreu 0 for 3 on the night, the batter. And Abreu, we talk about baseball being a game of inches and how just a ball that's just off the barrel of the bat as opposed to right in the meat of it or off the handle. Or you go back to that first inning with 1 on and 2 out, and Jose Abreu got a pitch that Josh Tomlin probably in retrospect, if you look back on it, didn't throw it where he wanted to. And Ramirez had a screaming liner, but it was caught by Chris because it was hit right at him. That's one of those ones where he does some damage with that pitch. Who knows how this game turns out differently?
Well, yeah, you can sit back and look at baseball games like that a lot. When you lose, you go back and reflect on things like that. When you win, you don't worry about it.
This was the first inning.
That
right
was the pitch right
Broadway.
there. He had a good swing at it, hit it hard, but there it was. It was an at-bat.
Yep. And it's nice. If you're Josh Tomlin, it's nice to know that the baseball gods do at least occasionally smile on you once in a while instead of, giving the hitter the advantage. It seems like
it's the first at-bat
for the last
inning of the game.
But that's where a lot of the damage has been done as Abreu goes down on strikes. How many times in the first inning this year have we seen a big inning?
Well, you see it a lot before starters settle in.
And the batter now, Omar Narvaez, who's 0 for 3 tonight. Yeah, but with Tomlin making the start tonight and pitching the way he did, that has to make everybody feel a little bit better about the starting rotation. And with Danny Salazar being shut down right now. Foul back. They really need somebody.
I'm happy for Josh. That's all I can say. There's no way he wanted to be shut down or anything like that. He wants to pitch. Well, he had an opportunity. He was able to rise to that opportunity tonight, and he matched up against a guy that was very hot, one of the best pitchers in baseball, who won his last 5 starts and had a minuscule ERA. So it was just not him. He had to put zeros on the board, although they did score first. But boy, his teammates picked him up and they came right back and gave him 3 in the 4th inning.
See if Cody Allen can get himself a double play ball. He has induced 6 ground ball double plays this year. And he's not really what you would consider a double play guy or ground ball pitcher.
Well, He's got that fastball and he's got the curveball. I'm sure, you know, I know I've seen him throw changeups before, but you don't see it too many times.
Down low. It's 3-1. Omar Narvaez is flied out, fouled out, grounded out tonight. And on the 3-1 pitch, he rips it to first. Napoli to second, threw it away. There they had it. He had his double play ball right there, but Napoli had too much on the throw.
Well, it looked like that ball went deep into the pocket. As Napoli dug that ball out, he just threw a rocket over the head of Lindor. See, those are big gloves. By the time, he had a tough time getting it out. And look at it, it's nowhere close. Frankie, nothing he could do to get it. Just a bad throw and an error on Napoli. And that's not what you want to see in the 9th inning. At least get the one out.
And so, with 2 aboard, Todd Frazier the batter. And he takes a called strike. Frazier registers his complaint with Dale Scott. Good block by Jimenez right there. Keeps the double play in order. One ball, one strike, 2 on, 1 out. And he threw a fastball by him to get ahead of the count.
Well, that had something on it. It looked like Jimenez wanted to go inside, but he just threw it away, and it had something on it because he was tardy. See, he slides to the inside part of the plate, and that's thrown to the outer part of it, but he gets it by him.
And a vapor trail coming off it. Back up the middle, but look who's there. Martinez steps on the bag, throws to first, and the game is over. The Indians get a win in Chicago as they go to 84-61 on the year, stay 6 games in front of Detroit in the Central. Josh Tomlin, the winner. He's now 12-8. And for Josh, it's his first win since July 30th. Lost to Carlos Rodon. He is now 7-9 on the year, and the White Sox go to 70-75 on the season. Good bounce back win for the Indians here tonight.
Yes, it was. It was a good team win. Just when they needed it, Tomlin steps up. A couple of key hits by Ramirez and Coco Crisp, and they're able to just throw it down their bullpen. The back end gets a chance to go into a ball game with the lead. So desperately needed a win right there. Now with a chance to even the series. They, even though Detroit won, no harm. They still knock one off of that magic number to what, 12 now, I believe.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, that's all things very good. Just keep winning.
Chance to split the series tomorrow. A really interesting matchup with Mike Clevenger going